Okay, part two. It took a little bit longer to start this because a couple of minutes into making this video, Joey called and I sat and talked to him for a little bit. But anyway, I remember back in 2017, we were officially like 3 months pregnant, and I had the biopsy done, and we were in my oncologist's office. She was with me, and he said, it's back, and it's stage 4. And I was afraid of this. I was praying that it wasn't back, that whatever my problem was something different. And it hit hard to actually hear it. But at the same time, she's sitting next to me and she started crying. So I'm trying to deal with what he just said, and I'm trying to comfort her. And at first I thought, well, obviously she's, afraid for me, worried for me. But I really caught on quick that she wasn't crying for me. She was crying for her, because things were not going to plan. And she would always talk about she's got a 5-year plan. She's got a 10-year plan. And she's one of those people that thinks that she can dictate and determine what life is going to be 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. And sometimes that works, but, life also has a way of pulling the rug out from under you when you least expect it. And what did not fit into her plan did not belong. And I kind of think that she had decided after the first round of cancer that if my cancer came back, she was going to move on. She had also, she really seemed to want to try being a single mother. I remember back in the beginning of our relationship, she had made some strange offhanded comments about how she wanted to have a family, wanted to have kids. And she knew that if she had kids out of wedlock, or that if it didn't work out, that she would be perfectly fine raising the kids on her own, like her mother. Well, her mother was a shit parent. There's no other way to say it. And, that's not just coming from me. That's coming from dozens of stories I've heard from her and both of her sisters. Her mother was an alcoholic when she was younger. And her mother ruined her father's life in divorce, kind of the same way she tried to do me. Her mother was more successful at it because her mother is an extremely devious person. My ex is not as devious as her mom, although she was definitely giving her a run for her money throughout the divorce. But her mom was an alcoholic. Her mom had a different boyfriend every week. Sometimes she had more than one boyfriend in the same week. And according to her older sister, there were a couple of occasions where she had more than one boyfriend over at the house at the same time. And I made one of my previous videos, I had made a comment about how my ex wanted to, go move back down to St. Pete and live out her girl power fantasy. Completely and totally on her own. Well, she wouldn't have been on her own. She would have been with her mom and her sister and her friends. But, show that she didn't need me, But since the divorce, she has proven time and time again that she's not that capable, that good of a single mom. So that wouldn't have worked out anyway. But I sometimes think that was the plan all along, to stay with me until we had a kid, and then move on. We had a pregnancy scare kind of early on in our relationship, and we weren't married. And I remember we were getting up and getting ready for work. I was working at I was working at the pipe and precast plant in Green Cove Springs, half hour, 40 minutes away from where we lived in East Palatka at the time. And I had just come out of the bathroom from brushing my teeth, and I went and sat down on the edge of the bed and was pulling on my boots. And she looked very, I don't want to say worried. She looked different. It was hard to nail down how she looked, and I immediately knew there was something up. And I asked her, I said, "What's the matter?" And she said that she hadn't got her period when she was supposed to. And we were sleeping together. And she was on the pill. So I was adamant that other methods of protection were not necessary. And I had always, made sure I used protection with previous romances. But she was adamant that we didn't need to use it. And at this point, I already knew that I loved this girl. And, so as soon as she said that, the first thing I thought was, holy shit. And it wasn't, holy shit, I messed up. It was, holy shit, I might be about to be a dad. And, so I sat down next to her, put my arm around her, and I said, let's keep an eye on it. I said, and if it is what it could be, I said, then you and I are going down to the courthouse, and we're getting hitched fast and dirty, because I'm not going to have a child with a woman that isn't my wife. I said, we can do a fancy prim and proper ceremony later. And she laughed at that and said okay. And then it turned out that she wasn't pregnant. It was false alarm. And I remember I was kind of disappointed, but at the same time I was relieved, because I wasn't ready for that yet, I wanted us to be married and be a little bit more stable than we were. but I was still just a little bit disappointed, and she was really disappointed. And at the time, I thought that, she was disappointed because she had just really gotten used to the idea of us having a kid and, taking that next step. And after the divorce and things that she admitted to and things that I learned from other people, I'm pretty sure that she was mostly upset because she missed her shot to have a kid and not have to go through the process of getting married. Because after that night, after that scare, I said, you're on the pill. Great. I'm glad. We're going to make doubly sure we don't have this happen again until we're ready for it to happen. So, you're on the pill, all well and good. I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure we don't have a scare again. And, we did that until after we got married. And we had talked about, pretty soon after we actually got married, we had talked about are we going to now go ahead and try to have a kid? And we decided that, well, we were renting that house in East Palatka. Let's get our own place. So the plan was to buy a house and get situated and then start actively trying to have a kid. And then I was diagnosed with cancer, and that put everything on hold and made the processes of having a kid more difficult after all the treatment. And she would every few months really badger me afterward about having a kid, because I had gotten to a point, well, I don't want to have a kid and then cancer come back and I die and deprive my child of having a father. So I was on the fence about it for a long time. And she gave me some crap about how if she lost me, she wanted to be able to have a piece of me to go on. And she really knew how to tug on my heartstrings. I bought it, but afterward I realized that she didn't really give a damn about preserving a piece of me. She wanted to have a kid because she wanted to be a mom, and she was perfectly fine, even preferred to be a single mom. And after our son was born, she became very cold and distant to me, and she started to treat me more like a roommate that she didn't really like all that much, rather than her husband. I put it down to postpartum depression. I gave her time. I gave her space. I eventually tried to help, and nothing changed. And she became very hard to me. And I basically came to find out later on that her goal, pretty much as soon as our son was born, within the first couple of months, she decided that if she turned on me like that, that it would drive me away and that I would leave. And if she did that, she could much more easily claim full possession of the house, because she could say I abandoned her and the baby, and she could much more easily claim full custody of our child. And she put me through 4 years of hell. massive amounts of mental and emotional turmoil and abuse that I would not have taken from any other living creature on this planet. But I ate by the shovelful from her on a constant basis. And she made me not like her very much at all, but I still loved her, you know. Part of me still does. After everything, part of me still does. I wouldn't take her back to save my life. But, you know, I look at old pictures. I've got a voicemail on my phone from it's probably like 8 or 9 years ago. It was a good bit before Joey was born. I was still working, doing pest control. And she had called me and left a message, and she said, "I love you." And I don't know why something made me, you know, save that voicemail. And every now and again I'll play it. And you know, I can't lie, it makes me bawl like a baby. This went where I hadn't planned on it going, but you know, what the hell? That's life. We don't follow a script, right? So yeah. It's hard to sit back, to sit and think back, you know, because there's no, the only like definitive dividing line that I can find was the birth of our son. Which should have been the happiest moment of both of our lives. It was the happiest moment of mine. You know, up until up until he was born, the happiest day for me was the day that I like to say that it was, you know, the day that we got married, when we exchanged rings and said I do. But I really think it was probably the day that I proposed to her and she said yes. That was more of a poignant day for me, because I had never done anything like what I did that day. I've always been a loner. I've always, you know, liked my privacy. I don't like crowds. And I took her sailing on a 72-foot schooner, the Freedom, that still sails to this day out of St. Augustine Marina. And I had set this up, you know, with the crew and the captain like 2 weeks in advance, and the captain forgot. And, you know, he was supposed to, at some point towards the middle of the voyage, stop and ring the bell, the ship's bell, and say that we have a very special announcement or something like that today. And he didn't do that, and we were sailing back to the marina, and I'm sweating bullets, and I keep thumbing this ring in my pocket, and I'm realizing, Captain forgot what he was supposed to do, so I'm sitting there and I'm trying to get his attention, and it was so damn funny. I finally, I was looking at him, and I finally, raised my hand, waved my hand, and said, and he looked at me like, huh? And then it clicked, and he's like, oh, shit. And then he's, rang the bell and made the announcement. And I stood up, and she was sitting next to me, and she's looking around, and there's like 80 other freaking people looking at me. And God, I was terrified. And then I did the thing. I got down on one knee and pulled the ring out, and I proposed. And that was the day. And then Joey come along, and he managed to trump that, but it was still a close second. Still a close second. I will never do that shit again, but it was something. It was definitely definitely a high note for this dumb old country boy. Yeah, this took a way different turn than I planned. I don't even know where the hell I was going before I got on this subject. Story time, I guess. So yeah. Bittersweet. It is a bittersweet memory. And she's changed so much, Like she's purposely tried to become someone that she wasn't back then, or she was pretending back then, and now she is who she always was. I don't always know which one it is, but she's changed, physically. She's gotten older, and she got some weird ideas about self-care, didn't really take good care of herself, and but there are times, when she comes to pick Joey up or drop him off, and I look at her and I see her back then. June 8th, 2012 was the day I proposed to her, and she made me a bracelet, had it made for our first anniversary, June 8th, 2013, which was the day we got married, with both of our names on it, and it said the start of forever. Forever wasn't that damn long though, was it? Still got that bracelet. Take that out and look at it sometimes too. Anyway, this video is about to its end, so thank y'all for sitting here and listen to me stumble through memory lane. I hope y'all have a wonderful, happy, and Merry Christmas, and a great New Year. There's this meme I found on Facebook that I got a kick out of. It's a skeleton wearing a Santa costume, and it says, "Ho ho, holy shit, what a year this has been." And that is exactly how I feel. Hopefully, 25 is a much better year for all of us. I hope nothing but good things come for everyone next year. Because we can all use better than the way it's been. My GoFundMe link is in the description, as always. Do not need to donate. You got way more important things to spend your money on than helping me out. But if you could share the campaign, share the link. I'm going to shorten the text on the website again. That would be great. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening and Merry Christmas.